What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. Today I have come to you with a story time of how my marriage ended. A wonderful topic, isn't it? So I'm gonna try to make this video as quick as I possibly can. I don't know if I can because it's a long story, but I'm gonna see if I can do it. I'm gonna see if I can do it. The boys are taking a nap, so this is the best time for me to do this video. So we'll just get right into it. So why don't y'all just take y'all tea? Well, coffee. So why don't y'all just take y'all a cup of tea so y'all can listen to my story. Let's get into it. So, alright. We'll just start. I'm not going to start from the beginning of how we met. No point. But basically, it started when we had left New Jersey and we moved to Canada. We decided to, find a place, like a condo, somewhere to live. So we ended up finding a condo, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, full bath condo. It was really nice. And everything was okay for a while. And I'm not going to say that we didn't argue or anything like that. But if I was completely honest about the whole situation, I would say that he would get upset about me, like pretty much the littlest things that you could really think of. He got upset with the dumbest things you could possibly think of. It was actually pretty ridiculous, but it was not terrible. We were both working. What ended up happening was that he didn't like the job too much. We actually was working at the same place. So we were working at a collection agency. He didn't like the job, and he really he really wasn't good at talking with people. And I guess in regards to getting, like, he would be upset that people were hanging up on him and he wasn't really collecting or anything. That's the business when it comes to collections, right? And what ended up happening was that I ended up quitting the job because my boss was too crazy, was very irate, especially one time my son was sick and then he called me, was yelling at me. So at that point I just said, you know what, bye, I'm not gonna work for y'all no more because y'all crazy. Like it's a thing where my kid is sick and you're yelling at me to come back to work. Okay. And then he was still working there for a little while, and then he kept saying, I don't want to work there, Polly, blah 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 blah. I was like, okay, well, maybe you could, because my brother said to him, why don't you just go into security? And he said, okay, I'll go into security. And at that time I was the only one who really, we had to use my credit card because I was the only one who had a high balance credit card at that time. Pretty much everything was in my name. Like the house was in my name, the car that we bought was in my name, everything, because I had a permanent residency in Canada because of my parents, right? But I'm not from Canada. My parents moved there, and I was applying for him to have permanent residency in Canada. And he didn't really have anything in his name. I did. I had really good credit. My credit was like 750. It was really good. So I pretty much was able to do anything, really. And we had to use my credit card for him to sign up for the security course and everything, which was not cheap. It was like $350, being that we had 3 kids, right? So he he took the course, right? And then we had a conversation. I said to him, I don't want you to work overnight, but if you have to, it's okay. And there are many positions where he didn't have to work overnight, and he used that as a thing where, well, I'm not going to continue with it, I'm not going to do it. I was like, so we just wasted money. And I'm just saying, you need to get a job, you need to support the family, because currently I'm not working. And we pretty much used all our savings. We had a good huge amount in the account, and he I felt like at that point I was doing things on my own, pretty much taking care of the kids and all that stuff like that. So what ended up happening was I had to go to work. So I had found a job. At that point, we were just arguing, and then he took things too seriously, and it was just ridiculous. So at that point, we were okay for a little while. We ended up walking around, and mind you, if you didn't know, obviously you didn't know, he was into a lot of gaming, D&D, stuff like that. Me being the supportive wife I was at that time, I said, you know what, I wanted to support your thing or whatever like that, because I didn't really know too much into D&D, but now I know it's demonic. Okay, and so I didn't really know too much about it, honestly. And he and I were walking around. The kids were with my parents. We were walking around, trying to, look around our neighborhood, because we never really walked around before to know what was really there. And we came across a shop. It was a game shop. And we met these two individuals. There was a guy there, both of us met them, and a girl there. And the girl pretty much took an interest in talking to us. So she came up, approached us. Me being the person I am, I'm not going to think anything into it. I'm not crazy, crazy wife type thing. And she approached him and then approached us and was saying, well, we have these things on Wednesdays where you can come. You could do sessions with D&D and all this nonsense, blah, blah, blah. And then, and then I said, okay, he looks at me. He's like, babe, can I do it? I was like, I get off work at 5 o'clock, and then he's like, well, babe, can we see if I can just come and play, because I've always wanted to just not be the DM and I wanted to play, blah, blah, blah. Like, stuff like that. Sorry. And I was like, okay, that's fine. You don't want to be the type of wife to stop somebody's hobby and something that they want to do. So I wasn't the type of person to do that. I just said, okay. Not really thinking too much into it. After a little while, I had to convince my boss to let me get off at 4 o'clock on Wednesdays. Surprisingly enough, they let me do it. And I started getting home at 4 o'clock. He spent most of his time doing D&D stuff, and I don't know what really happened when I was at home, because he was with the kids the time I was working and everything. And at that around that point, he just kept spending too much time out. And randomly, he just kept, staying out until 5 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, no, it was ridiculous. And then he's like, babe, I'm doing something. I promise you, I'm doing something for it to benefit our family. And I was just like, okay. Around that time, we ended up finding out that he got his permanent residency, right? Mind y'all, it actually took about almost 3 years for him to get it. And we went to the embassy or wherever, the immigration office downtown. They automatically approved him, and around that, but before that point, I actually had to pay again on my credit card like $650 for that. So pretty much, y'all, I was racking up my credit card for him. At that time, I didn't really care because it was for my husband. I wasn't angry about that. It was okay. And I was just in a point of, I'm trying to get the stuff done for my family. I have to work and stuff like that. And I am a very hard worker. On top of that, I was working. I was cleaning the house. I was doing laundry. I was taking care of 3 kids that were, because I don't know if I told y'all, but my kids are Irish triplets. The twins were born November 2015. My other son, the first one, was born January 2015. So I had 3 kids in 1 year. And it was hard, a lot of hard work. I never complained because they're my kids, and stuff like that, but he wasn't really helping as much as you would want a husband to help you. Even when it came down to taking them a bath, he never really wanted to do it. I was always the one doing it. I cooked the majority of the time. I cleaned the majority of the time. I really felt like I was alone in doing it by myself. And fast forward to him getting his permanent residency. He got it. We were good. We were happy. Stuff like that. And later on, I believe a little after he got his residency, things started to shift. Things started to change. And he was spending a lot of his time doing the D&D nonsense. He was telling me that he wanted to see if he could work around and use the girl because she had money and all this stuff like that, because he wanted to see if he could open up a shop. Kept pretty much saying to me, it's for our family and stuff like that. I want to leave something for the kids, blah, 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 But I didn't like the fact that he was coming home at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, and it always became a fight because I kept saying to him, you have a family, you have kids. And not even that. He would leave the house at 4 o'clock. He wouldn't come back home until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Tell me how that makes sense. And I know any woman in her right mind is not going to deal with that or take it. Correct me if I'm wrong. And at that point, he decided, because, we're fighting too much, to sleep on the couch. I was like, who sleeps on the couch? Because I'm telling you to be home more and to spend more time with your family. And I wasn't opposing business meetings. I was saying to him that you should do things in a normal time where normal people do business meetings or whatever, because he abruptly brought up that, and I didn't know that's what he was doing. I thought he was just doing his D&D stuff, and then when he told me he was done, he was finished with the sessions, he still didn't come home after it was done at 9 o'clock, and it was just becoming too much for me, because it was just me at home. I was doing stuff with the kids. I was spending time with the kids. I kind of felt like I had to be mommy and daddy for the boys, and it was not fair to me. Not fair to me, and not fair to the boys as well. And the fact that you were coming home on like ridiculous hours made no sense to me. You're a husband and you're a father. Because if I was coming home at that time, you would probably most likely think I was cheating on you, right? Right. So he continued to sleep on the couch. He continued to treat me differently. He was treating me like a stranger in our own home. At that point, he was sleeping on the couch for about 2 months, and he was treating me different. He was treating me like I was not even his wife. He was treating me like I was nobody. He was treating me like I pretty much did him dirty. And I couldn't understand why he was treating me that way, why he was treating me like I was a stranger, why he wasn't even treating me like his wife, why is all I kept saying. I'm asking myself was why all of this stuff was happening. At that point, I kept confronting him, like, are you, and I asked him many times, like, are you cheating on me? And and he's like, no, how could you think I'm cheating on you? Like really, he went off the rails when I asked him that. But it's a legitimate question to ask, because you're spending your time with that female. And then he kept saying, well, she wants to meet the boys. I'm like, for what? Like, I don't know you. I met you like, what, twice? And he's like, well, I asked her to bring the boys diapers because I didn't think you were coming home. I'm like, what? Like, So trust me, at those points, I thought he was cheating on me. At that time, I 100% believed in my heart he was cheating on me. Because he had, on top of that, he had marks on his neck that looked like a hickey. And I confronted him about it, and he's like, no, it's not a hickey. I don't know what that is. And, you know, I never believed him, ever. But I still did things as a wife should do. I cooked, I cleaned, I took care of the kids, and I worked. And one day, we were just arguing, you know. We just argued a lot because all I wanted him to do was be home with his family, and he made it seem like I was complaining and nagging him, you know. And it broke my heart a lot. I did a lot of crying, and even when I cried, it's like he didn't even care. You know, like I said, he treated me like a stranger in the house. He treated me like I was never his wife. Mind you guys, we were together since 2013, a long time. And one day, this particular day, he told me one day not to go to the shop, and I said, why? And he's like, I don't want you to go there. I'm like, you don't tell me what to do. And the thing is, I wanted to go there to buy him something, you know, because that was the only place I knew, and it wasn't too far and stuff like that. I went to the shop, and I was only there for, I would say, 5 minutes. I went there, and there was this guy. He seen me before. He kept asking me questions like, how are you and your husband and everything. I'm like, we're okay as okay can be, I guess. And he's like, okay. He looked concerned, like he knew something. And then I was like, and I didn't talk to nobody. They just stood there, and I just picked up these 2 items, and then I told him, could he cash it up? I paid for it. I left. 5 minutes. I came home one day, and I gave it to him. That day I gave it to him, and then I was like, here, I got you something. And he's like, oh, thank you. And then that was pretty much it. I went to bed that night. Obviously, it was like around 9 or 10 o'clock. He came home around like 2 in the morning, waking me up, yelling and screaming, Pollyanna, blah, 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 blah. He's like, what the F did you do? What the F did you do? Like, going crazy. And saying, oh, what did you ask them? What did you ask the guy at the shop? I was like, what? This is what you wake me out of my sleep for? I'm like, I didn't talk to nobody. I didn't ask nobody anything. He's like, you know what? I'm done with you. I'm done with you because you ruined my opportunity. Y'all, I don't know what that was. I don't know where that came from. I don't even know what was going on. You woke me out of my sleep to yell at me for what? He's like, well, Mike told me this, that you said that. You kept asking questions about me and the girl. I was like, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. I don't got time for that. And I keep my personal business, my marriage problems I'm going through to myself. I don't include nobody in anything about me or anything about my life or my marriage. I never, ever did that. In the many years we were together, I never did that. And he should know that. And he's going off yelling at me and saying, I want a divorce, I'm done with you. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, really? I honestly couldn't believe what was going on. I couldn't believe it. I was shook. It was ridiculous. And, you know, I was crying and everything. It was just crazy. And after that, I said, I don't understand how you can't believe me and stuff like that. I was like, why? And then I explained to him everything that happened, and then he still didn't believe me or whatever. So at that point, that fight, you know, had that fight, and then I ended up crying and going to sleep. And up until a couple weeks later, it was around August, at that point, like I said, he was still sleeping on the couch. I ended up laying in my bed, going to sleep. Around 5 in the morning, he comes home. You know, he kept saying, you know, I am working, I'm doing videos with her, I'm doing YouTube videos. And it was so stupid, because that's not something you just, you don't just exclude your wife in what you're doing. You don't just start going to a female's house. I don't know who she is. You don't do that, you know? And around that particular night or morning, he comes and lays next to me. Mind y'all, he didn't come in the room for 2 months, right? And I thought it was crazy. But in my heart, I was done fighting and everything, and I just laid there, and we just fell asleep. And I thought maybe he was coming back to his senses. Maybe he wanted his family and everything and stuff like that. Around like 6:45, 7 in the morning, his phone starts going off, and I see and I woke up, because we checked each other's phone and everything, nothing to hide. He had my password, I had his, and come to see, there was a message on his phone from the girl, and she said, I'm sorry if I'm telling you to come back to me. Will you still love me? Will you still want me to be your wife and take your name? I still want, I don't want my shards to destroy you, because you've been through so much and you're so strong. And then saying that she makes you so miserable, talking about me, and basically saying that she wants to be the mom that, the woman the boys come home to, the mother that be a mom to my kids, and saying that she loves him and wants him to come back or whatever. And I confronted him about it. I was crying. I was like, oh my God, because I'm not loud, and I don't scream, especially when it came to fighting with him. I talked to him like I would talk to you guys, right? And he would yell at me, but I would just talk to him. And he woke up, and then he just stares at me, and I'm like, what is this? And then I'm like, you're cheating on me? And then I'm like, and he looks at me, and then he's like, yes. And I was like, how many times? He's like, a handful of times, 7 times. I'm like, where? He's like, in her car. I was like, there's a whole bunch of stuff, y'all. Like, I just, and then he said, okay, I'll block her. I'll try. We'll try to fix our marriage and everything like that. And then, y'all, he didn't block her. He didn't. I'm trying to make this not too long. He didn't block her. He didn't stop talking to her. He didn't stop seeing her, because we lived in a condo, y'all. We lived on the 6th floor. And when I would go out to the balcony, one day I had seen him, around that time he said he would stop talking to her. I seen him get into her car. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm trying not to cry. Yeah, so it was, because I never cheated on him. I was always loyal, and faithful to him and everything. And, he made me out to be sound evil, and that I made his life miserable, and like I did him wrong, when I did all that I could do for him and stuff like that. So he ended up saying we were going to separate to work on our marriage. At that point, he never told me where he was going. He wouldn't tell me where he was going. And come to find out, after like a little while, he just refused to let me know where he lived. And I thought we were working on our marriage, and everything. So he left the home for he was gone for 2 months, and I didn't end up finding out where he moved to until he called CPS on me. So if you guys actually don't know about that story, it's on my channel, where it's called he called CPS on me. So if you want to check that video out, you'll understand pretty much the rest of the story. It ties into this one. So I encourage you guys to go watch that video, if anything, so you can understand what happened pretty much after he left. So that's pretty much how my marriage ended. He never tried to work it out with me. He never tried to have a relationship with me and the kids at that point after he left. He pretty much ghosted me and acted like I never existed, and acted like we never had a relationship, and acted like we were never together for over 5 years or whatever. And it really broke my heart. I'm at a place now where it's been over 2 years. I'm okay. I have my boys, I have my kids, and I'm pretty happy. Through the midst of all of that, I went to court. I got custody of my kids, and they live with me. We do not live in Canada anymore. We left. We now live in Atlanta, Georgia. Trying to start our life, have a better life, and have a life surrounded with the fact that we will serve God. He was not a man of God. He was not a man who feared God or anything like that. So my goal and my plans are to just trust in God in everything that I got, y'all, and put Him first, and then teach my kids the right path, teach them the right ways, teach them how to treat a woman, how to love a woman, and how to just be great men. Their father's not there to teach them how to be a great man, but I would teach them how to treat a woman. And I want that for them, and I want to be the best mom that I can be for my kids. And I'm in the process of getting a divorce. He didn't want to file for divorce because he wanted to say that he didn't have money. But, obviously he's not saying he wants to be together or anything like that. He wants a divorce, so he's going to get his divorce. I did not believe in divorce until, all of this was happening. He lives with another woman. He was mentally abusive. He was not faithful, and things of that nature. And I'm in a process of going through that, and I'm gonna have a serious party when this divorce is finalized. I'm gonna be really happy. So yeah, I'm so sorry that this was so long, but I thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to share with all your friends, and don't forget to comment. I would love to hear from you guys as well. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos or more story times, because my life is like a movie. So again, thank y'all so much for watching, and I will definitely catch you guys in the next video. I will see you guys soon. And again, I really appreciate my subscribers. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.